Hello and welcome. This is a special on-demand version of our Trick or Treat event that we held in October 2022. It may not be October, it may not be around Halloween as you're watching this, but the message in here is as relevant outside of Halloween as it is in Halloween. And hopefully you agree with that. Um, the event was great fun. We had over 100 people watch the live event, and some people couldn't make it. And we did get asked for recordings, and we didn't do a recording. So I thought I would record a special on demand version so you can watch it on demand. So here we go. By way of introduction, in the description of this video will be a link to my LinkedIn profile. But in a nutshell, I am a Microsoft certified Power Platform solution architect as well as a certified trainer. I partner with Microsoft. I help run in a day workshops such as App in a Day, RPA in a Day. This is me let's leave that direction. This is me at Microsoft presenting RPA in a Day to a group of people. Such good fun. Really enjoy doing that. And yeah, my company, we help people build Power Platform solutions as well. So enough about me. Check me out on LinkedIn and feel free to connect. Let's crack on with the important messages of Trick or Treat. I'm going to use quite a lot of terrible metaphors throughout the whole of this presentation, so I'm glad that it's recording and I can't hear the visible groans that you're no doubt going to have as I use these terrible metaphors. But the metaphor that I'm going to start with is in IT nowadays, in technology, our job is no longer to deliver the solutions, it is to create an environment in which our users and our business units can collaborate and innovate. We are the owners of the cauldron. We are the creator of the cauldron and the ingredients, and our customers, our internal clients, are people that are creating magic. And Power Platform is a part of that magic. I told you these metaphors are going to be bad, but do bear with me. It will get better potentially. I'm going to take you back to when I were a lad from the north of England. This is actually the street which I grew up on. Let me see if I can make this thing work. There we go. So I actually lived on this street here, this house around here, this one or this one. I can't remember exactly which it is. But when I were a lad, we would go and do trick or treating. So I'd live on this street here, me and a bunch of mates, probably about 9, 10, maybe between 8, 9, 10, something like that. And a few of us, we would go up and down these streets, knocking on the doors on each side of the road, up and down, all these streets here. And we would knock on the window, and we would go, not on the window, on the door. We'd go, trick or treat. And we would be basically asking the adults in the house, it's a shakedown essentially. We're in trick or treat, and we're after a treat. The treat is usually, or was usually, sugar-based candy, lollies as you guys call them here in Australia. We call them sweets back in the UK. It could be sugar-based things like this, or it could be chocolate, sometimes packets of chips, crisps. Yeah, so basically we're asking for some sort of snack-based treat. But the alternative was to choose trick, and sometimes some of these wily adults would choose trick. Our particular tricks back then, we would have eggs with us. We would be carrying eggs, and it was basically an egg-based punishment is what would befall the adults that had chose trick over giving us some sweets. You know, put an egg, throw egg at their door, egg on their wall, egg under the welcome mat, egg on the gate handle, basically an egg-based sort of punishment. I put it to you that we in technology, in business technology right now, it is a trick or treat moment. And there are metaphorical eggs about to be pelted at our business windows. And that's what I want to talk about today. The first egg, warning, danger, is this latent, frustrated digital transformation. And this can be summarized in this slide with these stats. I'm not going to read out the slides here. You can read the stats there. And actually, you know, there are market changes at work. Certain people expect digital experiences. The workforce is changing, becoming more demanding in the skills that it's after, and there is a shortage of developers. They're the three key stats. That's what's happening in the background. And really, this whole presentation is around these market forces. So I'm not going to dwell too much on this particular slide, but it is a theme that we'll revisit as we go through the rest of the presentation. So this latent, frustrated digital transformation. There's technology that needs to be implemented, but it's just not happening yet. For those that use Power Platform, we are in various stages of governance. And for me, I think that we are sleepwalking into governance trouble. And what I mean by that is, if you're watching this video as a Microsoft customer, say you're a Microsoft customer and you use Office 365 in your tenant, then what you can do is you can go right now to office.com/apps, and you'll see a whole tray of applications. And some of those applications, two of them are very powerful. They're Power Automate and Power Apps. And I'll get into what those are in a second. But these apps allow you to create automations that can, you know, improve your workflow. You can create apps that your team can use, that potentially your clients can use, which is all really great. But what happens when you leave and your account is disabled, and you know you can no longer, this automation works and you haven't shared it with anybody, and things start falling over and things break. This is known as technical debt in the industry, and it is a real problem. In fact, there are a number of mistakes that we see with our clients when we first engage them, what they're doing with Power Platform. And I'll go through these in detail. I'll go through these I'll just go through these. The 7 mistakes that we see with Power Platform. First is there's no governance plan whatsoever. They've just not thought about governance in the context of Power Platform. There are these concepts in Power Platform called environments. They're very important, and people don't know what they are and what they can and should be used for. There is a default environment in every single tenant. Every single tenant has a default Power Platform environment. And some customers build enterprise grade apps inside that default environment. That's a big no-no. Apps and flows use user accounts. That's the example I talked about a second ago, where you've built something and you leave, your account gets disabled, and all of a sudden things break. People are using their user accounts inside apps and flows when really they should be using service accounts or accounts that will persist. People don't build apps and flows in solutions. If you're watching this as a maker, if you make things on Power Platform, then you should be building things inside solutions. There are, in fact, your number one job after this presentation is to Google Power Platform solutions and just do some research, and you'll understand why you need to build in solutions. But people don't do that. They don't know about it, and they just don't build in solutions. Companies haven't set up data loss prevention, especially on the default environment. So that means that people can create connections to things like, well, to other services you might not want people to connect to. So data loss prevention is not set up. You need to set that up if you're an admin. And finally, they don't understand licensing, and there's 2 parts to that. They don't understand licensing from a opportunity perspective, i.e., here's what the licensing costs when compared to looking at other solutions in our stack, or they are sleepwalking into a licensing nightmare in that they grow a solution to a certain point, then it becomes not very useful because they need licensing, and that's beyond their budget. So they just don't understand licensing. Really important to understand licensing. Now, these things will come back to haunt you. And as that little dude goes for a little fly around, I have an in-depth video on this. So there's a video that is linked in the comments below. 7 mistakes and the antidote to these mistakes. It's actually 7 mistakes and 21 resources. So 3 resources per mistake to help you get a better understanding of these problems and what you can do about them. And that's linked in this video below as well. But these are 7 mistakes that we see in Power Platform. And what this means is that companies are sleepwalking into governance trouble. And the final thing, the final mistake that we see is that the final danger, the final metaphorical egg at the window is that there is a reasonable expectation of more with less. Curious phrase that, I can hear you say. Well, here's an example of an expectation of more with less. And it's from a client that we spoke to a few months ago. Team is down 40%. It was right at the height of COVID, people being off sick and things like that. Our team is down 40% as part of the Great Resignation too. Yet we are pressured to deliver at the same rate as when we are at 100%. We are coping, but it is unsustainable. This for me is not a reasonable expectation of more with less. This is quite an unreasonable expectation of more with less. Yet that expectation is there, and that's unreasonable. We can manage that in different ways. Now I'm talking about a reasonable expectation of more with less, and to illustrate that, I'm going to start a new business. And in that new business, the value that I'm going to bring to the world in my new business is holes in the ground. I'm going to build a business, and the output we have, the value that we have, is digging holes in the ground. You want a hole in the ground? This is our new business. Come to us, we'll get you a hole in the ground. This is a future happy customer. He's delighted. He's got his hole in the ground. So I'm going to build this business. Now, I'm planning the business and I've got opportunities for tooling. I can choose a digger, or a JCB as we call them in the UK, but I think here they're called diggers. The digger, so this JCB, I can choose to tool up with diggers. Or I can head to Bunnings and I can get myself a whole bunch of shovels. And we can dig holes with shovels or dig holes with diggers. The end result, the value that I'm going to bring to the world is holes in the ground. That's what that we're going to do. But I've got these two options. And if I'm limited on resource, limited on people, some of these people are going to have an operational focus, and some people are going to have a client focus. So the ones with the operational focus, they're involved in the delivery, the project delivery. Those on client focus, they're involved in understanding what the customer needs, doing market research, finding out where holes most need digging, the best types of holes to dig, the different techniques, all of that stuff. There's a client focus and an operational focus of carrying out the work, project management, safety, both important to the business, both important for me to deliver the value of holes in the ground to the world. But the choice of tooling means I organize my people in different ways. If I'm choosing to use the manual shovels from Bunnings, my team needs to be architected different than if I use tools such as a digger, a JCB, to do that. And digging holes in the ground with shovels is absolutely a legitimate business, as is digging holes with a digger. And we have to ask, what do our customers expect us to be doing? If our customers, what type of customer do I attract if my company is digging with shovels versus digging with diggers? So our shareholders, our employees, our investors, our clients expect technology to be used appropriately for our business. And this is the reasonable expectation. The reasonable expectation is that we are using the technology appropriately, and that we have the people aligned in the way that's appropriate for the value that we deliver to our clients. That's the reasonable expectation, more or less. So these are the three dangers, the three metaphorical eggs that are potentially being hurled at our windows. In that case, then, what are the sweets? What are the treats? So to explain the treats in a bit of context, I want to talk a little bit about Power Platform. Power Platform is a low-code platform that's got a whole suite of features and products inside it. and it's about enabling digital transformation. Now, digital transformation is not something that you can switch on. It's not something that is installed. It is something that is a journey. It is potentially a mindset. It's organic. Digital transformation is organic, and it's about a journey of iterative changes that leads to true transformation. And Power Platform enables those. So Power Platform is a complete set of integrated low-code development tools, and I will talk a little bit about each of these, but not too much. So Power Apps is low-code application development. You can build apps in the browser that are low-code, drag and drop. It is low-code. You do need to know some code. It is not no-code. It is low-code. And Power Apps is a way of building mobile-ready, responsive, secure apps in a fraction of the time it would take to build apps in a traditional method. Power Automate is an automation platform. It combines capabilities such as robotic process automation, which is the automation of a desktop user interface that mimics the actions of a human being, the points and clicks of applications. It incorporates that. It also incorporates API to API integration without the need of a computer in the cloud. So Cloud Flows and Desktop Flows are built into Power Automate. Power Virtual Agents, which is built on top of the Bot Framework, Microsoft Bot Framework, and it uses natural language processing to understand the intent of what a human wants from the chatbot to then direct the human and the chatbot and the interaction with the technology down a particular intent. And it's all very low code, super easy to build, really useful virtual agents. And of course, hooking virtual agents with Power Automate, you've got a whole heap of possibilities. So Power Virtual Agents is another product. Power Pages it allows you to build secure data-centric websites that your clients, your vendors, your customers, students, whatever your business does, a way of collaborating externally to other people, then Power Pages is for that. And of course, Power BI, which I like to call as the gateway product to Power Platform. A lot of people know Power BI. It is the world's best data analytics platform, and that is part of Power Platform as well. Underpinning these products, these 5 products, are services and features. Data connectors, over 500 connectors that allow you to bring data into the Power Platform from many different types of alternate data sources, such as Google, Amazon, lots and lots. Over 500 connectors. AI Builder, which is low code AI models. You can train your own models or use some out of the box models such as invoice processing or sentiment analysis, things like that. AI Builder's built into the platform, and it is AI for everyone. You don't need to be a data scientist to start leveraging really sophisticated machine learning capabilities inside your apps and workflows. Microsoft Dataverse is actually a combination of a number of technologies: SQL Server, blob storage, Active Directory, and lots of other things. Bringing together a service that is a data service where you can create a data model of a business and then create apps really quickly off the side of that. You can model the data of your business, bring the data in, and then have that data available across all the Power Platform. Super powerful stuff, super useful stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about that as well a bit later. PowerFX, which is the language, the coding language that underpins and is littered throughout the whole of these products. Yeah, that is the code element. It is very Excel-like. So if you can build Excel formulas, you can pretty much learn PowerFX as well. And there's AI built into PowerFX using the Codex model, I believe it's called, that is built on top of OpenAI, that is giving people hints how to code. There's actually an amazing video from Ignite, Ignite October 2022, Satya Nadella keynote. Find the bit in that where OpenAI solves a puzzle that is given to it by writing the code automatically. and PowerFX has Codex built into it, the same technology that writes that in the demo. That's just mind-blowing. It's that's in PowerFX as well, so that's going to get more intelligent over time as well. So Power Platform is this suite of applications and a connected bunch of services that all lead into the ability to create some really cool solutions. Now, the best way to illustrate how these things all interact together is by way of example. So I'm going to take you through 5 simple examples of work that we've done on the Power Platform that leverages the capabilities. The first one, intelligent document processing. The problem here for a law firm, a national law firm, they work with a large organization that owns lots and lots of properties, and this law firm manages lease renewals and lease variations for people that live in those properties. So if a lease is up for renewal, or if someone needs to add or remove people from a lease, then the request ends up with the law firm. Now, the request comes in a PDF, and there are often dozens per day, and it was a lot of copy paste between the PDF that comes in and a document generation tool to generate the documents and send those out. We worked with the firm to create a solution that leverages an AI Builder custom model, a Canvas app, Power App, to review the extracted data, and then once it's reviewed and fixed up anything that they need to do or augmented that data with additional things, click a button and then that goes off and uses a custom connector that we wrote that leverages the ExpressDocs API to generate the lease variation documents. So here we leverage Power Apps. We built our own custom connector. There are 500 already, but you can build your own. We used AI Builder to train a model, and also we store data in the Dataverse. The next solution, this is a recruitment scorecard. This is for a recruitment consulting company. And at the end of every quarter, they generate the recruitment bonuses. They calculate the recruiter bonuses, the consultant bonuses, based on the performance over the previous quarter. So at the end of every quarter, it's one FTE equivalent, or one full-time person's job, 3 or 4 weeks to generate these PDF files from Excel and things like that. Leads to lots of queries and uncertainty and lots of back and forth. We worked with them to create a Power App Canvas app again, where they have a data warehouse that we can pull data in using connectors and data flows into Dataverse. Power Apps again, the Canvas app, and then PowerFX is used to do some of the complex calculations inside the app to generate the accurate numbers for the recruiter. The end result of that is that the recruiter will end up knowing their bonuses in real time as time's going on. Now, I mentioned Canvas app. So Canvas app is literally a blank canvas. So it's well named, but a blank canvas, and you draw the controls on the app, and you can basically create any sort of app that you like. There's the scorecard example, and here this is another example where we created an app to scan container labels on flight containers, and this here is it will be on a mobile device, and you'll be able to access the camera, take a photograph of the label, and it extracts it using AI Builder and populates the information in this bit here. So this is a mobile ready. So the Canvas apps are ready for mobile, can interact with the mobile device, and also it's a blank canvas that you can write and design any sort of app on it. The third example is a clinic task tracker. This one here, a clinic based in South Australia. They have 27 clinics across South Australia, and in each clinic they have a particular set of tasks that must be done every single day. And what they want to do is to be able to create those tasks on a planner, and then have people tick them off during the day, but then have that data synchronized centrally so there's a visibility over what's going on. And here, what happened was the clinic managers were looking at Trello to go and potentially manage this. the solution wasn't fitting right, but also from an IT perspective, it's another system to manage. So they reached out to us. We are currently building a Power App model-driven app with them, pulling all the data into Dataverse. And the beauty of it is that most of the clinics are already using Planner. They like Planner. They like the fact that that it goes into their to-dos. They like the fact that they can assign different people to different tasks. So we're just leveraging that. We are pushing out tasks as per a template to all the 27 planners, and then we're monitoring during the day and pulling that data in to the Dataverse. And then there are Power BI reports on top of it that can give reports for performance over the month, for individuals, for any sort of reports. So that's the clinic tasks tracker. We also, another good example where Power Apps are being used is in replacing legacy technology. So in this one, in that previous example, it's, bringing in, it's using a platform and a company you already know, Microsoft vendor, Microsoft integration product. So bringing something like Trello in is another platform to manage. The other thing that we're seeing a lot of is replacing legacy platforms inside organizations. So this company here is it's a business services advisory company, and they had two legacy platforms that manage records management. So these are physical documents. So where are these physical documents? They're in boxes, they're off-site, they're in a certain location. And it was just a record of where those are and tying them back to the clients and projects. The legacy platforms, there was one that was built in-house, and it was unsupported. No one knew what the code did. There's another one that was just an end-of-life product, so they could either upgrade that but it was the current version was unsupported, and it was providing a massive risk of burning platform. So we built a model-driven app. We helped them migrate the data into Dataverse. And we also managed to integrate with SharePoint for their electronic records as well. So bringing in, as a bonus, we've now got this full records management portal for a client. You can say these are all the off-site physical documents, and these are all of the on-site, these are all the online SharePoint documents, all from within the same portal. And that was done using Power Automate to do that sort of integration with SharePoint, Dataverse, and of course Power Apps. Now I've mentioned model-driven app a couple of times here. This relies on Dataverse. So getting the data model right for your business is a challenge. Once you've done for your business or for your particular use case, once you've got that data model worked out, then building an app on top of it is really, really easy. This is the standard user interface that a model-driven app provides, and it's really easy to build this once you get your data model right. If you are familiar with Dynamics 365, that's simply a model-driven Power App. So yeah, and you can combine the two together. You can have custom components that are canvas, free-form drawing inside a model-driven app as well for the best of both worlds. The final solution that I want to mention, just as a way of how these things work together, is Power Virtual Agents for Power Automate together. This problem here is a trend with law firms. It's a trend that happened a few years ago, and I think it's well bedded in now. Historically, law firms would have secretaries, and those secretaries would look after maybe 2 or 3 different partners or lawyers on the team, manage their mailboxes, their calendars and contacts. But what's happened over the past few years is there's been a trend towards secretarial pooling, which means that secretaries may get allocated their authors, people that they're looking after, on quite an ad hoc basis, and that can change quite a lot throughout the month, throughout the week. So the problem that brings for IT is that a secretary changes to a new partner and they need to look after their mailbox. Well, they don't have access to their mailbox, so they would log a call with IT, and then IT would get that call. There might be a lead time of 30 minutes to an hour, maybe 2 hours, and it was just too slow for the business. So we helped the law firm create a Power Virtual Agent, a chatbot that gathers data from the human and then initiates that checks whether that person's allowed to make that particular call. We don't want people getting access to the partner in charge mailbox, for example. So we check to make sure that it is an allowed request. And then that hands off to Power Automate, then goes and does the work, does the delegation across a number of systems, Exchange, Chrome River, and a few other things, BlueJeans and a couple of other things. So it does does that work and then lets the human know that it's been done. Also notifies the people, it notifies IT and notifies the mailbox owner that someone's been granted access to their files. And it's from potentially an hour or two down to minutes in terms of getting access. And a really good example here of virtual agents and Power Automate working together, which is super powerful. There's lots and lots and lots of applications for that. HR teams asking, how much leave do I have left? What's the policy on XYZ? All of these things can be done with Power Virtual Agents. People chasing invoice payments in finance. The world is your metaphorical oyster. So that's an example of, they are examples of how Power Platform is being used to solve problems. And when we think about that, every company is on digital transformation is a journey, and every company is on a different stage of that journey as a whole. Within that company themselves, every department's on a different part of that journey. And rather than looking for solutions, why not leverage a platform that you already own? So when we think about this latent, frustrated digital transformation, the converse of that, the sweet of that, the lolly of that, why not leverage the platform that you already own? Sleepwalking into governance trouble. So I mentioned before that I do have a video. So these are the 7 mistakes that I mentioned before. I have a video. Feel free to go and check that video out. There are 21 resources, 3 per mistake, that will help you understand how to avoid these mistakes that I see with Power Platform. I'm just going to go to the next one, but 3 important things for now, 3 takeaways for now in terms of this governance piece. Know that there is governance built into Power Platform. Look into that. If you are responsible for your IT administration, or if you are in senior management and you know that your IT team is not looking at this stuff, get them to look at it. Send them this video, send them this recording. Do nothing is not a governance strategy, unless, of course, you've looked at the governance and you've decided to do nothing. But this thing is here and it is here to stay, and do nothing is not a governance strategy. So first of all, leverage what's there and have a governance strategy. The second thing is, if you are a maker watching this, always building a solution. Google that. That is your one job from today. And finally, do research your licensing options. Licensing is a tricky topic. I will readily admit that it is hard. When you think about the number of customers Microsoft has to enable the different kinds of requirements across their whole client base, the benefit of it being a little bit complicated is that it is flexible. So you can start small. You can start with a little bit of investment, get some return on that investment, and then move forward. So do research licensing options. In the description of this video, there is a link to book a call with me. Happy to jump on a call to talk about any questions that you have. There is also a website. If you Google licensing ready, I believe it is, or licensing ready. If you Google that, if you Google licensing ready Microsoft, you'll get taken to a page that is a certification in licensing pricing for Power Platform. So if you really want to delve into it, do that course. It's got the training built into it as well. So those three things will countenance that sleepwalking into governance trouble. Rather than that, implement proactive governance at your own pace. If you don't want to enable citizen development and do this stuff, great, but make sure you've got the governance in place that suits that strategy. The final egg, this reasonable expectation of more with less. These are two of my favourite books. Daniel Susskind is a professor at Oxford. My background is in legal technology. I worked with law firms for many years, helping them with content management and with their business workflows. Daniel's father is called Richard Susskind. He wrote a book, The End of Lawyers, about 20 years ago, and that had 10 predictions for the legal service industry. Probably 8.5 of those are in some way being realised. And Daniel Susskind and Richard have written some books, some really good books on the future of professional services and technology. And this is Daniel's first solo book, A World Without Work, Technology Automation, how we should respond. Very economics focused. My degree was economics. I kind of get where it's coming from with this. It is heavy in economics, but nonetheless a staggering read in terms of what's the fourth industrial revolution and the kind of assumptions that we make. The other book, Scary Smart, Mo Gawdat, phenomenal man. He's written another book called Solve for Happy that was one of my favorite books of a few years ago. Scary Smart is really digging into the fact that we underestimate what technology does for us now. We take for granted what technology does for us now, to the same extent as what we underestimate what it will do for us in the future. And both of these books, the common thread in these two books is that we need new leadership. This here is I got in an Uber recently, and the Uber was a Tesla. I'd not seen a Tesla before. And I got in the car, and there was a big panel in the middle of in between the driver and the passenger seat, big panel, and in that panel was this graphic. And as we were driving along, a bike would go past, and it would drive the bike would be drawn on the screen. A bus would go past, a car would go past, a person would walk across the road. It was all being drawn in real time on the screen, and it was magical. And I said to the driver, "That's amazing." And the driver scoffed at me. "Oh, it's all right. It is much better now, much better than a few weeks ago. Until the recent update, all it was blobs, like just these blobs and blocks just driving past. You couldn't tell what it actually was." And I was a bit surprised that he scoffed at that, because I was blown away by that, by the technology. And then I got thinking about and reflecting on it, that it's a good example of, in fact, let's take a step back here. The technology that's involved in the creation of the capability for that car to recognize blobs. You have processing power in the CPU of the car. You have the AI modeling and AI research that's gone into for the camera technology to recognize objects and interpret them. You have the screen itself, like the technology in the screen, the touch screen. You have storage and networking, that it can push updates, and all of this magical, wonderful stuff had to become really capable in and of itself, and then it had to converge, and it all converged into this car that, as if by magic, could recognize, okay, blobs, but it could recognize things going past it. But only when those blobs turned into buses, or turned into bikes, or turned into people, was the human impressed. And that's really where we're at with corporate automation and corporate transformation. We are at the blobs to buses phase. And we look at the landscape of the different platforms and technologies that are accessible to us: analytics and business intelligence, automation, process discovery, a whole body of work going into how to analyze processes using machine learning to identify where to start. Cognitive services, document AI, the recent Azure document, general document API that can give you all the key value pairs in document, can interpret unstructured data. Amazing things coming in that space. Low-code applications, collaboration, Microsoft Loop about to be released that's going to transform how documents and how we work together. And of course, we've got mixed and augmented reality experiences. At Ignite recently, Microsoft announced their partnership with Meta. Lots of things happening in these spaces. And the choice is, do you want a separate platform for all of these particular capabilities? With disparate platforms, you have increased complexity. Each one has its own admin, its own security model, its own governance. There's a higher total cost of ownership, multiple vendors, multiple bills. Not only that, they often bundle in services, they a minimum capacity licensing. And you need niche skills in high demand. You need a lot of dollars for specialist experts. In things like, let's think of like UiPath or Appian or things like that. Consultants in that space are charging a lot of money. The alternative is to invest in one platform that is super capable of all of these things. A single point of admin security governance. Integrated architecture drives lower total cost of ownership, not only integrated in Power Platform and those products that I've talked about, but integrated into the whole of the Microsoft ecosystem. All the Azure capabilities, Dynamics, Office, all of those capabilities built into it. And you can upskill people that you already have with tools that they are familiar with and that they like. Certifications, I'm a certified trainer. We can train people on Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, all of those suites. And those certifications are valuable because people recognize that this is an industry that is changing and transforming. So the choice is, you can either lead with a focus on the platforms, the different platforms. Oh, we lead with this particular platform in automation, or this particular mixed reality portal, this collaboration portal, this low-code app. You can either lead with a focus on the platforms and on solutions, or you can lead with a laser focus on the solutions, and the platform becomes a decision that doesn't need to be made. So this reasonable expectation of more with less is absolutely reasonable. And I think we need to be leading with this laser focus on solutions and not being so, there's no need to be concerned or to think about disparate platforms. So from a latent, from these eggs, these dangers that are hurling at our business windows, a latent, frustrated digital transformation turns into leverage the platform you already own. Rather than sleepwalking into governance troubles, implement proactive governance at your own pace. And this is a very reasonable expectation of more with less from our customers, from our employees, from our stakeholders, our shareholders, our investors. Why don't we lead with a laser focus on solving problems with solutions? This is the choice of our time. This is the trick or treat of our time. Futurability, we are a company that can help customers with training packages, governance packages, analyzing return on investment, finding those use cases. Once you have a use case, we can help you build apps or build automations through our solution design engagements. We build via sprints, so you're always in the loop of what we're doing and always in contact with you. We can build custom connectors. We can offer RPA as a service or complex cloud flows as a service. Happily to jump on a call. Please do book a call. You can book a call using the link below. And there's one final terrible metaphor that I'd like to extend and revisit. I mentioned that it's our job as technologists to build a cauldron in which our customers can create magic. Now, they're going to create magic anyway. They're going to create magic anyway. It's just what type of magic do you want them to create? There are two types of magic. Black magic, which takes energy away to create chaos, destruction, disruption and to bring systems down to a lower state. That's black magic. Your customers, your employees, your users in your organization are going to create magic. Are they going to create black magic? Or white magic? White magic adds energy to create transformation to a higher level of evolution. I know which magic I'd rather be creating and have other people creating. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video to the end. Any comments, please leave them in the comments below. I will read every single one of them. Feel free to book a call, have a chat with me. It'd be great to meet you, find out what you're up to. And yeah, thank you so much, and see you around. Thank you.